I appreciate that video. It's difficult. I'd rather have the one that just says, life is happy and the good, but it acknowledges there's good and there's difficult seasons of life, but it's a decision to have gratitude. And I hope everybody in this room, in the chapel, the cafe, and everybody online is choosing gratitude before God this morning. Amen? And recognizing that some of you are in a great place, some of you are just in a difficult season of life, and we acknowledge that today. But saying God is good even in those hard times. We've made it through Thanksgiving. I hope that your time with family or friends was a good season. And it was fun to wake up yesterday and see the snow, wasn't it? Well, I think it was. Yeah, come on, don't be a fuddy-dud. It was fun. The perfect snow is the kind that just not on the roads, just in your yard. But man, that was stinking cold this morning. I didn't like that as much, but still, God is good, right? We have an attitude of gratitude. Come on, I'm not the only one. Yes, okay. All right, so, we're coming into the Christmas season. Isn't that fun? Next week, we start our Christmas series, and it's going to be good on the cost of Christmas, how we give. And I love giving. Don't you love to give? You're supposed to say yes. Don't you love to receive? Yes, sure we do. We like to give and receive. Sometimes when we receive, it's like, oh, there's the gift, it's okay. Then there's the one you just go, oh, I like this one. And you just hang on to that. And that happens throughout the year. We get those blessings from God or stuff or maybe a recognition or an honor. And you just go, man, I like this. And we just hang on to it. We hang on to it with everything we've got. Like maybe at Thanksgiving, when it came down to the last piece of pie, you're going, that's mine. Someone else gets it, you're just a little ticked. Or worse, a worse travesty is when you get the last piece of pumpkin pie, but there's no whipped cream left. I mean, what's the point of pumpkin pie if there's no whipped cream? It's just, you just think, oh man, maybe you bought pizza for someone. And you come around and someone took your last piece and you think, I bought it, I paid for it, it's mine. And we get ticked over the silliest things. Am I alone in that? Do you ever do that way too? Sure we do. Or maybe it's the TV remote at your house. It becomes a prized possession, or the volume control. It's like everybody wants to have that, hang on to it. Maybe you're going shopping. I'm sure some of you may went shopping on Friday and you go around and you're trying to find the best parking spot there is, and you're scouring out and you see the backup lights come on and you're waiting. They back out and someone else pulls in that spot before you. Do you just get a little ticked? I mean, it's funny how we'll drive around the parking lot multiple times to get the closest door spot, or maybe you show up to work first and you get the closest spot because you're there, you earned it, and you hang on to that spot, as silly as it is. Maybe there's old habits or just things that you do, you think, it's not really smart that I keep doing these, but I've always done it that way, and to let go of it would be kind of like a betrayal. Ever have those collectibles? My mom had a massive collection of Avon bottles that were supposed to be worth a lot of money someday. They're not. But you hang on to that stuff, you get your old tickets, you hang on to those things we do. Or maybe how about this? What about the last word in the argument? You just got to say one more thing because you got to be the last one on there. You got to stand up for it. We guard these things, these words, like it's so important. It's silly how a piece of pizza or the parking spot can just get you so riled up over the silliest things, or who gets ahead of you going down the road. Our grip on stuff sometimes just doesn't make any sense. Why is it that we hang on to this? I think it's so important. We just sang this song. My Jesus, I lift my hands up. I lay my whole life down. We sing that and we mean it. But I wonder if we could change the words and say, I lift my hands up and I let my stuff go. Can we still sing that song? I lay my stuff out. I lay my pride out, God. It was easier to say, I just lay my life down, God. But we think about, do I hang on to stuff with a grip? Truth is, sometimes the things we're hanging on to are blessings from God. There's opportunities. Maybe it's just comfort that we just want to keep it, recognition. Worship calls for us to do something. It's literally opening up our hands and opening up our hearts and saying, God, it's all yours. In 2 Samuel chapter 23, there's a story about a man named David If you're new to the faith, David is a man that there's quite a bit written about in the Old Testament. He began as a shepherd boy, and he became a warrior, and he became the king, and he's a man that we see so many great things about. He had a lot of struggles in life too. And this is the time of the story before he is sitting on the throne. And he has enemies chasing after him. He's the man that's supposed to be blessed by God, but enemies are trying to kill him. They're chasing him down, and he's in a desperate place. He's tired, he's exhausted, and he's worn out. And he reminds us, this picture of this story of his life, is that worship means letting go of the things that we think that we have earned, that they are ours. So 2 Samuel chapter 23, beginning verse number 13. During harvest time, 3 of the 30 chief warriors came down to David at the cave of Adullam, while a band of Philistines, those are the enemies, was camped in the valley of Rephaim. At that time, David was in the stronghold, and the Philistine garrison was at Bethlehem. Bethlehem is David's hometown. So all the enemies have taken over Bethlehem. They are there. He's down way south of the valley of Elah in a cave holding out there. Verse 15, it says, David longed for water and said, oh, that someone would get me a drink of water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem. You know, even those times you're just going, oh, I'm tired, I'm worn out, and man, I would just love this. So the 3 mighty warriors broke through the Philistine lines, drew water from the well near the gate of Bethlehem, and carried it back to David. So these warriors, they love their king. They love David. They see him as a great man. They want to honor him. And so they break through. They literally risk their lives, go through the enemy lines to get water from the well, and they bring it back to him. You know, when you're under that exhausted, maybe you're just worn out, sometimes those times of pressure coming on, those desires that come out sometimes are the deepest desires. Maybe you're in those seasons like now. You just, I just wish I had this. You just need a little bit of comfort, sentimental. And what David does in that moment of vulnerability, he just says, I'm thirsty. I wish I had water from Bethlehem. He's not saying, commanding, you guys go get this water for me right now. He's not being that arrogant, pious person. He's just saying, man, I wish I had this. And these guys, because they love him so much, they just take off and they go there because they want to honor him. Going on. But David refused to drink the water that they brought to him. He refused to drink it. Instead, he poured it out before the Lord. Far be it from me, Lord, to do this, he said. Is it not the blood of the men who went at the risk of their own lives? And David would not drink it. Now, this is the first time, when the first time I read this story, as an adult, I was just, what? David, are you kidding me? Because he's thirsty. He wants some water. His men love him. They honor him. They risk their lives. They bring back water, and he just takes it and dumps it. Now, that just kind of ticks me, doesn't it, you? It's like, how rude. Didn't your mother teach you anything? You're supposed to smile, say thank you, and drink it and say, this tastes so good, or maybe even share it, but he just dumps it out. It just seems weird, and then it just goes right on to the next story. Think, David, what is going on here? The thing that's hard for us to understand is back in verse 16, when it says this, when it says he pours it out before the Lord. I know, that's just one of the phrases that sounds like he just poured it out on the ground, just kind of dumped it. But it actually means something significant to the person living during this time. They were under the Old Testament law, and there was a thing called a drink offering. When they did a drink offering, it was they would receive something or they would take it. It was like a wine, their best wine that they had, a prized possession, and they would take it and they would literally pour it out as a sign of sacrifice before God. God, this is something I desire. It's something that is the best. It's most expensive. And God, I'm pouring it out to say, I love you and I value you more than this thing. And so David, what he did was he took this offering of water that was given to him. Instead of just drinking it, he realizes the value of it, and he says, God, I pour this out before you as an act of worship. So it says, far be it from me, they said to this, that he's going to pour it out, but he said, is it not the blood of men? He recognizes the great price. The men didn't die, fortunately, but they risked their lives. He said, man, this water is so special. It's not just water from my hometown, but it's water that was bought with a great price. They risked so much for this. So David said, because of this, I'm going to pour it out before God. He does it as a gift of an offering. Others would have seen it as a reward, something David deserved, and said, man, look at how much those guys love you. I mean, he could have taken it as an entitlement, just puffed himself up and said, wow, look how much they love me, and showed it off, posted it on TikTok and Facebook, look how much they love me. But he didn't. He poured it out before God. Now, I tried to think of an illustration of when I gave Jean a gift of great price and great value, and I couldn't come up with anything. So I know illustration there. But these guys risked their lives for him. And what we'll see, let's take a look at what David did and why he did it, and then we'll take some lessons that can apply to us and how we need to pour some things out before God. First of all, David showed restraint. He had the desire to drink the water. He wanted it. It was there. He deserved it because they honored him. They paid a great price, and he could have very easily done it, but he stopped and said, this is so special. It's so important. So instead of taking it for himself, where the world would have said, David, you deserve this, you keep it, you enjoy it, it's all yours, David says, I will not take lightly what was paid at such great a price. Maybe someone's going to give you a gift that they gave a great price for it. You just go, oh, wow, thanks, I love this is great. Or do you think about how much was given for you to receive that? David did. So he restrained himself from just consuming it on himself. David also showed us an act of reverence. When it said he saw that it was the blood that these guys were risking for him, he said, this is something that's so important. He saw the value of the gift that was before him, and he held it in a reverent way. He sees it as a deep moment, something that no doubt exhausted, worn out, he was thirsty. This is the water is the best thing that there is. And he says, I'm not taking this for myself. I'm offering it to God. He refuses to take their sacrifice for himself, but instead he wants to give it to God. In the next chapter, we see David, he's back in Jerusalem in chapter 24, and God tells him to make a sacrifice for him. And so David wants to go up above what was Jerusalem at that time, the top of Mount Moriah, and he wants to make an offering to God on this very top of the mountain. And the area is owned by someone else, so he offers to buy this field, this threshing floor from a guy, and he wants to make a sacrifice. And the guy loves David. He says, David, you can just have the land. In fact, here's my oxen you can sacrifice, and here's some wood that you can use for the fire. It's all yours. You just make your sacrifice. And David said this in verse number 24. He said, I will not sacrifice offerings that cost me nothing. David understood price. He understood value. He understood that if he's going to make an offering to God, it needed to be a sacrifice. He needed to give for it to be an offering. And he recognized reverently that what these guys did for him when they went to get the water was something to be revered and valued. David also showed an act of worship. When he pours that water out, this drink offering before God, he's saying, this is something I love, God, but I'm going to pour it out for you. Now for me, it wouldn't be water, it wouldn't be wine, it'd be a can of Coke. If I pour out this can of Coke before God, that's kind of silly, but what is it that you hang on to? What is it that you grip? What is it that you say, this is mine, this is something that I deserve, this is something I want? And much as David wanted to drink, much as he wanted this water, he pours it out before God. Last week, Nokomis shared a story from Mark chapter 14 of a woman with an alabaster jar of expensive ointment that was so precious. It was very, very expensive. And when he took that, he said that she broke the flask and poured it over Jesus' head. And then Jesus said, she has done a beautiful thing to me. Remember that message from last week? People around her said, this is a waste. This is crazy. You could use that for something else. But it was her gift. It was an extravagant gift. She was giving something that was very important to her, something of great value because she loved Jesus more. And it was her gift. These guys, man, they sacrificed everything because they wanted to give a gift to their king, a gift to David because they loved him so much. They poured it out, and David took that gift and valued it. He restrained himself, he revered it, and he said, I'm going to use this as a gift, as a sacrifice, a gift of worship before God. Now, I don't think his men responded the way I did the first time I read this story. Like, how could you do that? They understood drink offerings. And I think they were amazed that David would take something that he wanted so much and he poured it out before God and offered a worship that they would understand. I read a story this week about a lady who was a gifted musician. And she was waiting for an opportunity to perform in front of others, to be recognized. And she had prayed for this opportunity. She had practiced, she had rehearsed, and just couldn't wait. And finally an opportunity came along, and she heard that if she were to play at this occasion, that there would be some important people there, and she might finally get the recognition that she wanted, and she was looking forward to it. The only thing is, when she got the date, she realized it conflicted with the commitment that she had made with her church. She made a commitment to her church to be involved in the serving activity in the community, to shed the light of Christ with people. And she said, God, I know I said I committed to do this, but this is what I've been praying for. And she was really caught in a mix of what to do. And she went to her mentor. She asked people her opinions. And finally she came down to the decision. And she decided to keep her commitment first to the church and serving the people around her. She said, if I only give God what costs me nothing, I'm not worshiping, I'm negotiating. She understood the price of what it meant to offer a sacrifice, a worship to God. Years later, she asked about it, and she had no regrets. She said that moment of letting go taught her to love, to offer her talent to God, taught her how to offer her talent to God and not use God to advance her talent. Sometimes we take the blessings of God and we use them for ourselves. We use them to lift ourselves up, to make ourselves more comfortable, instead of saying, God, this is from you, and how do I offer it back to you? So David received this gift. He made it an action of worship. But what does that mean for us? David did that. The challenge for us is, how do we let go of the things that we hang on to with a grip? Those things that we really want. Maybe it's the achievements that we've worked so hard for. We worked so hard, we finally got there, and you just want to sit back and just puff up your chest and be really proud. Look what I did. Everybody, look what I did. And you want to post it out there. Can we just say, God, thank you for allowing me to achieve that, but it all belongs to you? Opportunities that you've received. The promise of advancement, I'm going to get ahead. Do you take it as all yours? It's comforts, securities, the things that I've worked so hard. Now I've got everything I've wanted. I've got the toys I want. I got the games I want. I got the chair that I want. I got the car that I want, and it's all mine. And who cares if anybody else has it or not? It's all about ourselves. The recognition, you believe you deserve it. You worked so hard for it. Notice the common word is you. You believe this. You want this. You get this. We get that recognition, and it's like, oh man, I feel so good. And by the way, did everybody see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? I got this award because I'm a servant heart. Look, I serve so well. Look at the reward I got. Is it about promoting yourself? Or is it really about serving? Is it really about giving and letting God get the glory? Or do we really want that glory ourselves? Maybe it's the thing you grip onto is relationships. If I could just be friends with this person, if I could just sit with this person, or she looked at me and he looked at me, and we do it as adults, and we drop our names. Oh, I knew this person. Yeah, I've hung around this person, and we think that makes me feel more important. I get more recognition, and we grip the relationships that are there, or we fight to have those other connections that we desire so much. Maybe it's my money that I hang on to, that I just grip. It is mine, and the more I get, the more I have to have. Career security, or it's influence. What are the things that you're gripping? What are the things that you really desire? The platforms, the possessions. Maybe it's not the things that you have, it's the things that you desire. You would sell your soul if you could have this relationship, this thing, this position. Maybe it's your opinions that you just think, I wish someone would ask me my opinion and my thought, because if they did, I could fix all the problems at this office. I could fix all the problems of this family. I could fix all the problems at this school. I could fix all the problems of this world. And we're just really hanging on to ourselves and think, my thoughts, and we will grumble and complain about it because it's mine. And I think it's so important. My desires, I want this so bad. Maybe it's my past. Something so great that happened in your past, and you just keep living that moment over and over. And you find when you're talking in stories, you keep going back, oh yeah, well I did this. And oh yeah, I did this. Did you know I did this? And we keep living there. Or maybe it's the past that is full of pain and hurt and resentment, and you just can't let go of it. And God says, forgive and move on, and you just can't, you're just gripping it. It's there, and it's got a hold of you. Resentments are hard to say, I lay these down before God, and I let go of them in his hand, and let grace cover those. It's hanging on to things with both hands. Things that we say, it is mine. Isn't it interesting how a 2-year-old can learn that word mine so quick? They learn it very quick, and there's some teenagers in this room, and there's some 40-year-olds, and there's some 70-year-olds who are still saying, it is mine. And we're hanging on to it. When blessings become mine to keep, they stop being God's to use. Luke chapter 12, verse 48, Jesus said, everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. And from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. Those blessings God gives you, those aren't just for you. Those blessings God gives you are so you could use them and serve and reach out and bless others with the blessings that God has given you. And you say, I worked hard for this. Yeah, well, who gave you the mind and the physical ability that you could work so hard for that? God gave you those. And you need to work hard. You need to achieve and recognize it all belongs to God. God, I lay it all down. It's all yours. And it's not mine to keep. When blessings become entitlements, worship turns into self-celebration. You know, we're saying, look what I did. God, I worship you, I honor you, but look what I did. See what I did? See what I accomplished? It's I went and served the Lord, but make sure I post, look what I did. Look how I served the Lord. Do you see what I did in serving God? Look how humble I am. Those aren't worshiping God. It's lifting yourself up. We begin to own what God intended for us to offer and what we were meant to pour out before him. Worship sometimes is just letting go and saying, Jesus, it's all yours. I'm a steward of it. How can I use this for you? A track coach received this great award and honor for the coach that he was for his teams, but this was one for him because of his accomplishments and how much he was appreciated. And it was a cool looking plaque that he wanted to hang on the wall. In fact, he hung it on the wall for a while, and one of his students came in one day and said, Coach, where's your award that used to hang here on the wall? And his response was he had to put it away. He said, because the more I celebrated the award, the more it owned me. And I'd have to keep it out of sight to remind myself what I earned can't be what I cling onto. What is it that you cling onto? What is it that you lift up and you want to make sure other people see it too? What does it mean to pour it out before the Lord? So just think, what is that thing? What is it that you're hanging onto? What are those things that get in front of you and they interrupt your worship with God, and they interrupt the word generosity? You can't put generosity with your thing and what it means to be generous before God. What does it mean to let go? Just a few things. Maybe you need to learn to let go of control. That I need to fix this. I need to keep this all packaged up. I need to control what's going on. And those of you who have a gift of preparing and planning and laying it out, that's great. That's something from God. But when you carry it so far as it has to be just right, and if it doesn't, you freak out and it's a problem, and you think all the world's coming down to, maybe it's just that time when you're planning everything you can, and then you see God, say, God, I can't do all this. It's all yours anyway. You plan, you prepare, but ultimately you don't freak out. You say, God, it's yours. I've done the best I can, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Any of you ever plan a wedding? A perfect wedding? Something's going to go wrong, right? So how do you say, I plan everything I can and say, well, I wonder just have fun to see what's going to go wrong tomorrow. Because something will, rather than tear yourself apart over it. Plan, prepare, but don't have to have control of everything. It belongs to God. Worship trusts God enough to release outcomes that we cannot manage. It's all God's. Maybe letting go of recognition, the desire to be recognized, the desire to be lifted up, The desire to say, look how important that is. We feel discouraged. We want to be lifted up. We want to be honored. But can we just say, God, you are the one that needs the recognition and honor in life. And if you're just serving along and no one's appreciating you, maybe that's a place where you say, God, I just pray that they see you. And if they don't see me, it's okay. But we want the recognition. Worship chooses hidden faithfulness over public applause. Saying, God, it's yours. Maybe it's letting go of security. Saying, I just want to hang on to this. That security, I don't know what it is for you. Maybe it's the comfort of all the friends around you, and you'll do everything to keep those friends around you to make you feel secure. Maybe your security is money, and you're going to cling on to that money no matter what, and you just can't release it. And you can drop in a $10 bill here, but no, you're not going to give more because you just got to have that because it's yours, and you're gripping onto it, saying it's mine. You say, God, I want to be generous of heart, generous of the blessings that you've given me, and trust you with it. That's part of my worship. Maybe it's letting go of what we have. Maybe it's letting go of what we don't have. Those deep, deep desires that we keep working so hard to achieve and to get towards and say, I just need this, God. I got to have this. And we say, God, it is yours. And so we stop clinging to what is mine and say, God, how can I use this for you? We don't give up our dreams, but we say, God, this is my dream, and we ask for his blessings and his guidance to shape our dream into what he wants it to be, and we give him the glory for it. You see, letting go is not wasteful. It's worship. Saying, God, I lift my hands. I lay my whole life down. That means open hands, open heart. It's yours, God. Worship is measured not by what we receive from God, but what we release to God and say, it's all yours. Perfect example of pouring out is Jesus himself. In Philippians chapter 2, it says, have the same mindset as Jesus Christ, as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant. Being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross. See, the God of heaven left all the glories of heaven, everything that was there, and he took on a human form, and we're going to celebrate it here in just a little bit. He took on the form of an infant that could not take care of himself at all, in a poor family. He poured himself out, lived amongst us, faced everything that you and I face, all the struggles, all the pain. He faced it all because he wanted you to see how much he loves you. The God of the universe poured himself out for you because he loves you so much. And not only did he become humbled himself in that way, but it says he became obedient to death on the cross when he took your guilt, your shame, your sin upon himself because he loves you so much. And we recognize how much Jesus poured out for us, then we need to say, God, I will pour myself out for you as well. I'll serve you. Will you humble yourself? Drop those ties of friendships and relationships and clothes and positions that you've got to have so you look like you're more important than you really are because you want the achievement to get ahead. Would you loosen your grip on your stuff and say, God, this is all yours? And then we can worship God. Going on, the passage says, therefore, God exalted Jesus to the highest place, gave him the name that is above every name, that in the name of Jesus, every knee should bow. It means, who are you bound to? Jesus. Not to your stuff, not to those dreams, not to your desires, but you're bowing to Jesus. In heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of God the Father. You're saying, God, it is all yours. I want to honor you with everything I have. It means letting go of the grip that I'm hanging on to my stuff with. One more passage. Romans chapter 12. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, that means God's love for you, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. I urge you. to offer, sacrifice, give it all, saying, God, it is yours.